we have to teach them love. We have to show them things from a posture of love. There is a reason why you got to behave. And you got to teach them that. Not just do as I say because I said so. But yeah, we got this look. Mm. I remember growing up and I was always scared of my daddy. Now, I gave them hell. I was the rebel. I ain't going to lie. But I was really afraid of my daddy because, man, when he got you, he got you. And it's like, ooh, and so one of the things that I didn't want to do, though, is that I did not want my kids to feel afraid of me. I wanted them to feel safe because I know what it is like a child to be afraid of your parents. Baby, you go home and put yourself in timeout. If you're not having a good day, don't you go mess up somebody else's day. Hey friends, and welcome back once again to the Kitchen Table Podcast. I am your host, Jannetta, the licensed clinical social worker. And this week, once again, this is the month, April, the month of child abuse awareness. So I've been talking about abuse and bringing awareness to it, but also helping caregivers and helping families, how to prevent a lot of abuse that you can, and just putting up safety measures and stuff. So every week we pull up with a chair and we're going to pour some coffee. Even though I got this coffee cup here, y'all do not like coffee. I'm just going to tell you. Hot chocolate is probably me, and green tea is what I like. And then we just going to get real about raising wise, strong, and safe kids. So today's conversation is going to be a tender but a critical one. And we're going to be talking about psychological abuse, the invisible wounds that hurt just as deeply as the visible ones. If anything, one thing I say about psychological abuse, it's worse than physical abuse. Physical abuse, sooner or later, it'll heal. And sometimes, you'll feel it depending on how bad it is when the weather change. And so, we're going to learn how to spot it, how it affects our children. And most importantly, we're going to learn how to protect them with wisdom, strength, and love. So when we talk about psychological abuse, we want to know what it is, okay? I have a lot of definitions for it, so let me just start off with this one. Psychological abuse is the use of emotional manipulation, fear, threat, shame, and control to harm someone's mental well-being. It is repetitive, it is intentional, and it is damaging over a long period of time. We even see it in today's political climate, a lot of psychological abuse. Let me read some other definitions of psychological abuse. Emotional abuse refers to a persistent mistreatment of a kid that primarily entails emotional harm. It is occasionally referred to as a psychological maltreatment. Emotional abuse encompasses intentional efforts to intimidate, demean, isolate, or disregard a young child. Emotional abuse frequently coexists with other forms of abuse, making it very challenging to identify the indicators or to distinguish it from other type of abuse. But however, it can occur. And y'all, there are different types of psychological abuse. So, y'all, this is the stuff that makes a child second guess their worth, their feelings, and even their right to be safe. It's when someone say things like, "You're crazy. No one would believe you," or "You making things up." Psychological abuse erodes a child's spirit little by little. When we talk about that, you guys, words are powerful. And they're even more powerful when they're coming from a caregiver, when they're coming from a mom, when they're coming from a father. They are very powerful. And so you may be angry and upset, and you may say some things to your child or your kid, and you may not mean it, but in the moment of what's going on, once those words are out there, it's just like putting bullet holes in their heart and in their self esteem. So making sure you guys are being real careful when it comes down to the words that we use with our children. I hate to see parents, especially mothers, calling their daughters bees and hoes, and I'm like, okay. And remember, words are powerful. So whatever you are speaking, and you speak it long enough, is what's gonna manifest. It's like you bringing life to it. And so when it happens, you get upset and angry, and you looking at the child sideways like it's the child's fault, but it was the seeds that you planted in them, and you kept watering it, and now we got this manifestation of it. And you want to act like, oh, you was just this good, flawless parent. And the types of psychological abuse, okay. Engaging in demeanor or inconsistent belittling a child's action or character, intimidating, raising one voice at, or imploring deteriorated, I hope I said that right, language towards a child. I want to go back to intimidating. So I do know that in the Black and brown community, and I know y'all gonna get tired of me saying this, but I just really want people to understand where the root of things start. And it starts once again in slavery. So the slave master, they demean the slaves. They belittled them, belittled them. Hope I said that right. And I want to sound like that one woman. Anyway, and they just pretty much told them they were nothing. And yeah, their actions towards them, all of that. So what happens once again, after a while, you begin to believe that. And what do? They incorporate that into parenting. And so people are like, oh, we tired of soft parenting. We need to go back with the belts, corporate punishment, and all of that. Y'all, that's not good. So now you put an intimidation into your child because you want them to line up, follow the rules, and do what you say. And that's good, and that's great that you want them to do that, because we all want peace in our house, right? But if you're doing it in an intimidating way, the child is not doing it because they want to. They doing it out of fear. You want them to do it from a heart posture of love. And we teach people how to treat us. And when they're not being treated well, that's how they're eventually going to treat themselves. And so the intimidation, that shouldn't work. Look at today's climate. Just look at yesterday. Everybody throwing a fit about Dion's son, right? Oh, he need to be humble and this and that. But because he came from a strong family where his father was present, okay? He didn't come from poverty neither. And he has good work ethics. He's a very confident young man. And everybody is listening to a narrative that other people make about confident, strong Black men and women. Look, y'all seeing it on the national level. But this is what Black, educated, confident, strong men and women deal with in corporate America all the time. So people are intimidated with that. And so they want to spin the narrative because, quote unquote, they can't be the white savior because he don't need a savior. You know, he can't. I mean, he came from good parents, good home, and all of that. Now, was they perfect? No, but look at the fruit of it. No scandals, none of that. Let me get off of that. Let me get back to psychological abuse. But I just kind of want y'all to see how it all starts, okay? And so because his parents instilled in him in a young age, what people are saying about him in the media is rolling off his back because he know who he is. And that's not arrogance. That's just confident in who I know. That's intimidating. because it's like, oh, I won't get to control you, and we see a lot of our black men come from fatherless homes and poverty. And so they gonna do the code switch because they need the money. They want to take care of their family. So people in that particular position, this is psychological, y'all. They can control. They can get what they want. And because they have a little bit more money than what they grew up in, these people are able to take advantage of them and take more money than what they're supposed to be getting and taking from them. But that's a whole nother thing. I'm sorry I got off track. Let me get back over this. But subjecting the child to ridicule or employing just being sarcastic with the intentions of causing harm. Y'all hear all this psychological stuff. And we do it all the time, especially in my culture. And I want y'all to know how it impacts the child. Y'all, these psychological games, it all started in slavery, then it went to Jim Crow. Y'all see Jim Crow, we wasn't good enough, so they had to do black and white. Blacks over here, whites over there. Y'all, that was all psychological. And I'll say it once and I'll say it till I die. Black America has been in a psychological abuse relationship with America. Just period, point blank. That's what it is. But this is what it does to you. It does not leave you having a healthy self-esteem. Transferring blame and using someone as a scapegoat. Compelling a child to engage in demeaning acts. Failing to acknowledge a child's unique individuality or attempting to manipulate their lives, pressuring a child excessively or disregarding their limitations. Y'all, I just want y'all to see. These are things that we have employed into our families and our kids. And a lot of times it's broken parents. Y'all, when we broken, we cannot be the best parent. And we very toxic. Y'all know that saying that says that when you're not healed, you bleed on everybody. So a lot of us are not healed, and a lot of them comfort. It started in childhood, and so you're still bleeding on everybody, and they get the impact of that, and that's not good. Subjecting a child to distressing occurrences or circumstances such as seeing domestic violence and drug abuse. All of these are the some of the types of psychological abuse. Let me get over here to this other one. So, what are some red flags to psychological abuse? Making a child doubt their own memory, feelings, or expression. So, let me give an example of the first red flag, and it's called gaslighting. Everybody know what gaslighting is, don't we? So, making a child doubt their own memory, feelings, or experience. Chatting. If a child say, "Uncle made me feel weird," and somebody responds, "Oh, you just sensitive," that's gaslighting, you guys. Okay? Another red flag is public humiliation, meaning that marking, criticizing, or shaming a child in front of others. So an example of that is if someone jokes always make your child feel small, it's not funny. It's harmful. So another red flag of psychological abuse is withholding affection as punishment. I'm going to say that again. Withholding affection as punishment is a red flag. We see that a lot in my community, but we also see it a lot in church. Yeah, we see it a lot in church. Let me put it in layman's terms, church terms. We excommunicate. We tell people don't have anything to do with them. Don't socialize with them. So that is an example of gaslighting. Using love and attention like rewards they can lose. Um, Love isn't a prize kids have to earn. I'm going to say that one more time. Love is not a prize that kids have to learn. Regardless of what your kids do, you should always have this endless love for them, okay? And you have to remember, they don't come here knowing anything. So anything that they have learned came from their caregivers. The fruit don't fall far from the tree. They did not wake up and have these behaviors, these thinking patterns. It came from the parents of the caregiver, and that's just what it is. Another red flag is extreme control. Yeah, extreme control. So micromanaging every part of the child's life, friendships, feelings, opinions. I often say this. I remember when my kids was young, and one of my sons watched everything that I did. My oldest one. It used to drive me crazy. He always wanted to know my opinions about things, and he will adopt those same things. Okay. And so I could not wait until he went away to college so he can get his own, have his own ideas of what he wants to be and his own moral compass instead of watching me. But micro managing every part of the child's life, friendship, feelings, and opinions. These parents that does that, these are parents who came from or grew up in a very traumatized environment. And so a lot of times when you grow up in a traumatized environment and the people that are supposed to keep you safe are the ones that are causing the abuse. When you become an adult, you decide that I am going to control everything and everyone in my life because as a child, you did not have a voice and you could control or help what happened to you. But in your mind, I'm going to control everything and everyone because I am never going to let anyone hurt me again. And so now there's this micromanagement, gotta control on everything because it gives them a false sense of safety. And that's just a red flag. That's most people that go to the service, not all of them, but most people that go to the service, uh, they have a hard time thinking for themselves. They can come out and get good management jobs and stuff, but they like the micromanagement. And because in the service, they're taught to trust the leader. They're not supposed to answer questions. They do what they're supposed to say, do. And so they like to control everything. And that's not a good thing. That's a red flag, y'all. Extreme control. If a kid can't have an opinion without fear, that's not discipline. That's can't think of the word. You're dominating them. And so a lot of you parents, y'all don't want the kids to answer questions. If they answer questions about any rule, anything that you want them to do or that you said, you get upset and you say they're disrespecting you and you saying that they are disobedient and very rebellious. You know what? They answering questions because they trying to understand. And that doesn't mean that they are being disrespectful. That's something that's been taught. They need to be untaught. They need to answer questions. You want to teach them to be critical thinkers. Another red flag is threats and intimidation. So threatening harm to the child, themselves, or a pet to control behaviors. No parent should make a child feel unsafe, even with words. So y'all, we got this thing in my culture called the mama look. All we got to do, I don't know about today, but I know back in my day and when I was raising my kids, all you had to do was give them this look. And they know what that look is. That looks means that, oh, nah, you better get to act right. And you better get it quick because you get ready to catch some hands, And so that's like fear. That's intimidating for you to get the behavior that you want, right? That's not good. That's not healthy. Once again, we have to teach them love. We have to show them things from a posture of love. There is a reason why you got to behave. And you got to teach them that. Not just do as I say because I said so. But yeah, we got this look. I remember growing up and I was always scared of my daddy. Now, I gave them hell. I was the rebel. I ain't going to lie. But I was really afraid of my daddy because, man, when he got you, he got you. And it's like, ooh, and so one of the things that I didn't want to do, though, is that I did not want my kids to feel afraid of me. I wanted them to feel safe because I know what it is like a child to be afraid of your parents. And so that took me once again going to take probably 100,000 parenting classes. But I did go take them. But when we talk about high psychological abuse, how it impacts children, it can cause them anxiety. It can cause depression. It can cause low self-esteem. It can cause chronic guilt and trust issues. So kids might become people pleasers. Yeah, people pleaser. And everybody that's a people pleaser be like, oh, I just want to help people. I want to make sure people are okay. Anytime that you put other people's needs above your own, you people pleasing. That's exactly what that is. People pleasing. People pleasers are the yes man at work. Oh, we're going to go to them because they say yes to everything. And some people is not going to say yes. But yeah, they become people pleasers. They have big emotional outbursts and go completely silent. They struggle with friendships. They fear authority figures. And they blame themselves for everything. Everything. It's like, what did I do? Everything. Y'all, that's not good. That's not healthy at all. So when you when you're dealing with this type of abuse and it keeps you in this type of dark space, they're not able to even tap into who they are. Yeah, I have clients that take a whole lot of hard work when we are dealing with trauma and we dealing with this type of abuse. It deals with your core beliefs about yourself. So you have all these harmful core beliefs. So it stifles you from growing into who you're supposed to be. They have so much fear that they don't even like to go out and interact with people. They are very, very secluded. They got the people that they're going to go around and what they're going to do, and they won't leave their box. They won't leave their box because they don't have confidence in themselves, and they believed all the negative things that was told to them. They believed it, and that's what they became. But when they get free, whoo, it ain't nothing like freedom. When you get free, it's like a kid in the candy store. What I'm gonna be when you get free. So I want to encourage. I know this is for kids, but caregivers, y'all need to hear this too. Go get a therapist so y'all can work through some things so you can really live a good life and not be in and out of dark, depressing states because you always in that state of mind of what has happened to you when you was a child. Psychological abuse, it doesn't leave bruises that you can see. It leaves scars in the mind, the heart, and the way that the kid view themselves. Okay? Kids don't always say, I'm being abused. They show it in sadness, fear, anger, or withdrawal. So making sure that you guys do whatever it is that you need to do to go get some help. When I say I wanted to tie this in with the previous about grooming, kids who are psychologically abused, y'all, this is who the groomers look for. Now, let me go back to what I just got this saying. The impact that psychological abuse has on the child. It causes anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, chronic guilt, and trust issues. Okay? They become people pleaser. These are these are what the predators look for. They're looking for kids like this. They have big emotional outbursts. So now here come the predator comforting them and giving them and telling them things that the parents should have did and should have said. And so now he's creating this bond. So when he get ready to attack, they're going to feel guilty and bad for reporting. They won't. They will not report. They will carry that for a long time, even into their adulthood life. They're going to feel bad about it because of that connection that they have, that bond that he have through grooming. They gave them what they needed, but in return, the predator took what wasn't his. And so it reinforces those beliefs, and it reinforces those feelings, those negative feelings that they have about themselves. In this closing, this week, I want you guys to take a really, just take a real good watch on how adults interact with your kids. Coaches, teachers, family, church members. Is there anyone who chips away at your child's joy, confidence, or trust in themselves? You guys should be at the school all the time. I don't care if you got to take off work to go to the parent-teacher conference. You can always email the teacher. You can always call the teacher and leave voice messages. If your kids are playing sports, you need to be involved. When my kids was playing sports, they knew me. They knew me well. I also had a bullhorn too. So, yeah, but I had to let them know, hey, I'm here. I may work 2 or 3 jobs, yeah, and I move around, but I make sure that I made my presence known. You got to, because when you're not showing up and you're not there, that's who they looking for, you guys. So making sure that you support your kids. So what we're going to do, remember, we can have conversations, but we should always leave with some tools on steps that you need to take. So this week, make it your mission to pour truth and strength into your kids. Tell them their feelings matter. One thing that you guys can do is y'all can go, and they sell it at these different stores, but you can go and get these feelings pictures, like happy pictures. They smiling, they crying, depressed. So they got pictures. And what you guys can start doing is, how are you feeling today? Here, and if they don't want to talk, show them the picture and let them point out how they were feeling. So some of them may say, hey, I'm feeling happy. I had a good day. That's good. I'm glad that you had a good day and it made you happy. Then you want to go a little bit deeper. Like, okay, what made you happy today? Why was it good? Hey, even just paying attention to them. We all know when our kids are upset. We know when they're sad. And them knowing that you're paying attention to them, and you can be like, hey, come here. You look like you're angry. Let me tell you what you just did when you said that. You gave them the language to what they were feeling. Okay, I look like I'm angry. Yeah, I am angry. You're teaching them how to verbalize how they feel and not act it out. So when you see a lot of kids, when you see kids that has a lot of behavior problems, something is going on. There's the call to action is, let me see who hurt them. A lot of people be like, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with her? What's wrong? No, who hurt you? That's what you need to be answering. Who hurt you? Tell them that no one has a right to make them feel small. And you and your child, you should be their safe place. They should always be able to come to you and be the safe place. Here are some things that I actually want to leave with the parents, giving you some parent affirmations, okay? And so you get up in the mornings, or you can say this all day. You are a good parent because you're showing up and you're doing hard, beautiful work. Remember, parenting does not come with a guide. It does not come with a book. And really, it's a lot of trial and error. And you don't want to have too many errors because their lives are precious. And it's okay if you didn't know before. What matters is that you know now. Sometimes we find out things that has happened to our kids and we didn't know beforehand, but we find out after the fact. And so in order to help find out before, is you're going to have to start having those conversations. So this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to go to YouTube, and I want you to go check out the channel called Groovy Kids. And you and your kids can sit down and watch those. They have videos from K through third grade, and then they have them from fourth grade up. So they break them down in age group. I also want you guys to go to YouTube and look for the body safety books. So you just put it in the search, and all the body safety books will come up. And they do have people that read those books. So if you don't have the books, or you may not have the money to get the book, you do have access to YouTube. And just sit down, and you and your children listen to the person reading the book. And after y'all finish, making sure that you reiterate what they were saying in the book, asking questions, and then not also just answering questions, but giving your kids a voice. Check in for their understanding about what was said. Making sure that y'all also go and get YouTube good and bad pictures. Pull that up. And if y'all want to, you can always go to Amazon and order these books too. Body Boundaries, Teaching Body Boundaries. Okay. Well, this is going to end this week's podcast. I hope that you was able to get some information that gives you the tools that you need to be the best parent that you can be for your children. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And go tell people who may need this information, okay? And have a great rest of your day. But like in Tabitha Brown words, if you're not having a good day, then don't you go ruin somebody else's day. And in my words, go put yourself in timeout and calm down and make sure that you process, and then you can reconnect. Until then, I will see you guys next week.